Fuck it. Let's do that. So,
Yes.
alright. That was a big old tutor on my part. And, you done anything on your turn yet?
I'm about to. So, I'm gonna have one floating.
Cool.
Colorless. I'll play Loyal Apprentice. Wait, no, that's not
It's
gonna
gonna
work.
die to the tainted. And it's when it enters, so even if you make the copies get sacked or sack a land. You gotta kill that enchantment. I'm gonna go.
I can't. like.
I'm.
1, 2,
I
3,
could, but not with
4,
this deck.
5.
She just countered the only spell that I had to really deal with it.
Okay, well, yeah, like, I'm boned.
I mean, I could probably figure out a way to sack all my zombies to the Call of the Grave, but the tainted's still gonna screw you.
Pass turn. Yeah. And your tutor only costs 1?
I took this up to make my next spell cost 2 less. So yeah, that's why it only costs 1.
My mana count. Especially since I'm like, what am I going to do with my life?
NPC, are you feeling well enough to try some of my... I got this in Charles de Gaulle. It is Bushmill's steamship edition, aged in bourbon casks on the ocean.
Nice.
Fine. Here, well, Tabor, it too.
Yep, I'm shuffling.
Okay.
Okay, I control 2 planeswalkers. This is my hand.
I'm assuming she went for the deep glow, so...
You're down for...
I scry 2.
Hello, 4 people who still exist.
Hello.
You're awfully quiet. Please entertain me while I wait to die.
Okay, untap.
So one of the things that annoyed me about Italy
Uh-oh.
is that while the food is amazing and the wine is amazing, only very, very specific places, cocktail bars, actually have hard liquor and mixed drinks.
Aww.
Like, I did not have a Manhattan the entire trip.
Ha!
So
To make you try things.
Even though vermouth is frickin' Italian.
It made you try things.
1, 2,
Oh, that's good.
3, 4.
Okay. I'm gonna be curious since... Yeah. It's not... No. Why? Well... Oh. Okay. Well... Makes it a little more
So I
amusing,
took this up to make my next spell cost 2 less.
You got it.
Tap 6 more.
Sure.
Nicobolus Planeswalker.
You got it.
Ooh. Can we pull him up? He's all
Which one?
fancy. It says Nicobolus
Oh.
Planeswalker. I'm like,
Literally, it's
that
just
is the
Nicobolus,
card.
comma, Planeswalker.
That one.
Oop.
Oh no. Oh. Well, this is gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be fucking hilarious.
She's coming at you, bitch.
So what do you have over there that's not a creature? What
Why
over there?
did you show me that?
What over there is a non-creature permanent, please?
Phyrexian Arena and a Call to the Grave.
One is card draw, one
is card draw, one is everybody sacks a creature. That's oppressing her, so sure, by all means.
Yeah.
So
Just as
it's
much
her
as,
thing.
yeah.
Alright, well, I guess I'll tick it up to 8. And...
Hello, chicken D
Destroy.
guy.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's a great one.
like,
destroy,
What are you killing?
the
card
It's a
draw
card
or
draw
a creature?
Phyrexian Arena? Probably a good choice.
Phyrexian Arena.
Phyrexian Arena dies.
Alright. And can't do that anymore.
You're welcome, by the way.
For what?
You'll see.
And I have 2 mana left open and 1 card in my hand. And
Sure.
I pass the turn.
Alright.
We know it's not another
upkeep,
negate
draw.
because you can only have
Is
one.
it?
I'm gonna swing a
Other
bolus.
2
thing.
costs.
I'm gonna swing a bolus for 6. Swamp Walk.
Alright, so it goes down to 2.
And then I'm gonna play my own Nicol Bolas Planeswalker.
Really?
Yep.
That's
That's what I tutored
funny.
for.
That's funny as hell.
And I'm gonna blow up the Tainted Ether. You're welcome.
Alright.
You can play now.
Yay! I can have things and stuff.
Nice.
But however, my Bolas is gonna die to her Bolas next turn unless you can kill it.
Now tap your mana.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Thank you.
Pass turn.
Okay, I'd say untap. Well, we're already there. Upkeep,
Yep.
draw.
Good
Okay.
evening, Chicken D guy.
Chicken de guy. That's a great. I like that.
Yes.
Have you
Okay.
tried the Popeye's chicken sandwich yet? I hear it's good.
I have not. I hear it's good though.
Okay. I'm tapping 2 for an Is It Signet.
You have an Is It Signet.
Finally.
Yay.
Mana.
Is it?
Really?
Oh no.
Please
Bad jokes.
go sit in a corner.
I am.
No.
Sit in a different.
It's in a different corner.
Oh, okay. What do I want to do? How about...
Wait, sorry.
You have 50 life. She has 30 life. And planeswalkers. You did kill the thing oppressing me, though.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you can kill
But
Bolas,
you know he's
if you
the
can
target.
send 2 damage at Bolas, I will blow up another Planeswalker next turn.
But
How
you
long
need me
is
to
this
blow.
gonna
But you need
last?
me to blow up his stuff. You're not my problem. He's my
You're
problem.
not my problem either.
So you can just
I'm
sit
like,
tight while we
not
leave
being
you
any
alone.
problem.
While we leave you alone, and
There will be punishment very soon.
there will be punishment.
Either my Nicol Bolas will be punished by her Nicol Bolas.
Or that other thing.
You don't have any other creatures, right?
No.
And
But
what's
I want,
the text on
but
that? What does it say
I
on
want
that?
to play creatures eventually.
Yeah.
I'm
What does
gonna
it say on
need
there?
to. At the beginning of each player's upkeep,
So you could play a
that
creature
player
now. You don't have to worry about it until next
sacrifices
turn. If
a non-zombie.
I could, I mean, I can still kill Bolas with my creatures. So,
Yeah.
but I would rather, throw that creature damage at, let's say, her face instead of Planeswalker.
Why don't I just do what I can finally do now? So this will be 1 blue, 1 red. A blue. So that's 3. And then a colorless. And then I will finally play the Thopter Spy Network.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
There you
And
go.
pass turn. Yes.
Alright, untap.
How many cards do you have in your hand?
Properly.
1. Scry 3.
Gotta get rid of
Oh
that
wait,
enchantment.
and I can decide the order of how things kick off because it's my upkeep.
Yes.
So I could say the sacking happens and then I get my Thopter.
Well, unless it says at the beginning.
So it's at the beginning, but
They both
you're
say at the beginning,
saying,
so
yeah,
it triggers.
so yeah.
I'll put all 3 on the bottom.
Okay.
Draw.
I get a Thopter. I've never been so excited about a Thopter.
I've never been so excited to have a 1/1 creature.
Yeah. But please, keep beating on each other.
Yes.
If I don't do it, who will?
Yeah, like... Point. Oh, the cat's meowing.
I'll take that up to 11.
And that's funny, my brain was like, is that in the song? Because, there's cats meowing in In strict confidence's cover of Sad But True.
Oh, I'm warm again. Maybe I am kind of
Did you turn up the heat?
overdid it.
Or-
No, I didn't. I did not turn up the heat because I knew better.
What are you doing over there? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So 2 for the artifacts I control.
Yep.
And then
3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5, 6. Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge.
Oh, jeez. Pull him up.
Yup.
I think I have him in my Brea deck, not this deck.
Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge. Creatures and planeswalkers have affinity for artifacts.
So all my planeswalkers are artifacts right now? Or what?
No, they have a... So, your creatures and planeswalker spells are 4 less, because 1 for each planeswalker.
Okay.
So, if you play a creature right now, it is 4 colorless less. If you play a planeswalker right now, it is 4 colorless less.
Okay. Alright. Cool.
Or, sorry, 2 less. No, she has 4 planeswalkers. Oh, artifacts. I'm sorry. I thought they had affinity
so
for...
2 less.
I thought they had affinity for planeswalkers.
2
My bad.
less. Okay.
Thank you so much, Chicken D guy.
Chicken guy. I really do like that.
Me too.
Okay. Alright.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do that.
So you're going to do...
+2.
+2 to give... to do damage to each of us?
Yep. And I gain 2 life. I'll tick this up to 5. And I'm going to destroy that.
Oh, the call.
Yeah.
Alright.
I don't like it anymore. Okay. And... 7.
Yeah, it's raining. It's been raining.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and tap and sack my Shaku at last.
To proliferate.
Proliferate.
You want to put a counter on my bullets?
No.
Didn't think so.
Definitely.
That would have been interesting.
And pass the turn.
I am going to put Gary back on top of my deck.
Uh,
Hey, I wonder what I'm drawing this turn.
I don't know.
although at least your affinity for black is less
Yep.
now. So it'll be a little less painful.
Well, let's see what happens.
Until you...
2 for Withered Wretch.
What does that do?
Okay.
It's a zombie.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll allow it.
Yep. Gary.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, please. Each lose 12.
So I'm down to 12.
I'm down to 20.
And I gain 24 and go to 72. And then I'm going to blow up
72.
Tezzeret.
Okay. With the nickel. Okay.
Yep. And... You play... What's that other one?
Kasmina.
No, the one right next to
Really?
it.
She's been
Nicol
out.
Bolas, the Planeswalker.
Yeah.
That's what I... Oh,
You blew up
oh no, I'm
Tezzeret.
blowing up Nicol Bolas. I'm sorry, I thought it was dead.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
Tezzeret's...
just blew up Tezzeret.
Yeah, no, sorry, Nicol Bolas gets blown
Okay,
up.
so Tezzeret still has 8 on him.
Yes.
And you blew up Nicol Bolas instead. Got
Yes. And I'm gonna swing at... I'm gonna swing for 4 at Tezzeret and 2 at Kasmina. Kasmina's dead now, right?
it. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm gonna pass turn.
Okay. Your bolus is up to 11?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, right. Yeah, the top 2.
wasn't who at 2. Chickeny guy.
Kasmina.
Yeah, how did... Bolus.
Well, he got ticked up.
Oh, he got ticked up right
And
to
then I
5, and then
proliferated.
so 6 is exactly right.
Yeah, I proliferated. Yeah.
God, he ticks up for 3 to kill shit. I love
Yeah.
that. It's crazy.
Of course, now you're gonna win because I should have destroyed that instead. I have a series of bad decisions in this game.
You're absolutely right, but I didn't
Yeah.
realize. I declared my attacks before I realized Bolus
Yeah.
was still in play, so we should have backed up, but friendly games.
What did
I'm
you
not
do?
good.
What?
I didn't realize Bolus was still in play, so I would have killed Bolus with my creatures and blown up Tezzeret.
Yeah. Well, I have more bad decisions than you because you have the nickel
Yeah.
bolas in play now, and there's nothing we can do to it.
Well,
I should have destroyed it with my
You could
bolus.
attack it.
Yeah, I should have destroyed it with
You
my
should have
bolus.
destroyed it with your bolus.
Yeah, I was an idiot.
well, no, because I mean, it was oppressing her.
Yeah.
It was seriously oppressing her.
Yeah,
So now you've got somebody who could potentially be an ally.
potentially, but it's still
1, 2,
too much trouble.
3,
That bolus is still too much trouble, and I had one in play. Don't be like me,
Okay,
viewers.
so
Don't
5.
play like me and make bad decisions.
Well, this buys a little bit of time. Okay, maybe.
That-
Aether Gale. Return 6 on-land permanents to their owner's hands.
Yeah, I will happily take everything here back to my hand.
Well, the bolus is going back to your hand. Don't
No,
start
yeah,
packing
no,
up
no,
your
no,
stuff
like-
yet.
no, we
like-
want, like if you just leave enough for me to take care of them, that way they die and can't get played again.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, obviously my bolus is gonna.
Yeah, like, because you could ultimate,
Right.
and that's not fun.
You don't want Gary to go.
No, like, I don't want him back in your hand.
Um,
In fact, he could stay alive forever. What's that guy again? The church one? No.
yeah, I mean,
Like, they're all so
they're all
tiny,
little.
it's
Yeah, it
like-
doesn't matter.
And I can't do Lance because
Is there
the
anything that
obvious-
helps you when you play it again?
No. Like, not really.
Then basically hit all 3 planeswalkers.
Well, the proliferate.
How many
thing.
5 or 6 do you get? What is it? Aether? What is
I
it?
get 6.
Wow.
And this is expensive for Volus is the thing, which is not ideal.
Aether what?
Gale.
Ah. 6, right. This is the blue response to the blow up 6 permanents from black.
Like,
Yeah, we could hit a soul ring. I mean, but I don't think either of us have one. I don't have one.
I have a soul ring, and I'm not hitting my own
Yeah.
soul ring. Let's see. Seems really expensive. Shit. Okay. Can I see your creatures? Except for Gary.
Except for the Grey Merchant, yes.
Well, and bolus.
Well, Bolus, I know I'm like how it goes.
Yeah, if you bounce, you net 1 extra mana if you bounce your own soul ring. So you play it and you have 1 more mana if you need to cast it for something this turn. You know what I mean? If you bounce your own soul ring. You can tap the soul ring, bounce your ring, play it for 1 mana, and you have 4 left.
Thank you, friend.
But none of them are really worth.
I'll let you keep the Withered Wretch. You actually haven't been using this enough.
I just
She
played
has
it.
Stuff that...
I literally just played it this
Oh,
turn.
right. So, I'll let you keep that. You're not... Nothing in my graveyard is...
So if you hit all the planeswalkers, you got 3 more choices.
Yeah, let's do all the Planeswalkers.
There's only 2 planeswalkers.
I got 1.
And his. His was the main target.
That's
where I was
probably,
like,
yeah.
no. Let's see. So I have 3 left. You know what? I will let you keep that one. I'll bounce these 2.
Okay.
Because I'll make you spend swamps, which I think you have plenty, but
Yep.
if you really want to play them again...
Whichever one of those 2 is more expensive. It's probably your next one.
Or your soul ring.
Yeah.
Unless you want
Do
to
I
cast, yeah, if
have
you want to
anything
cast
to
something.
play? Maybe I will bounce my Soul Ring.
Cool.
Because will that do a thing?
Oh.
Maybe
oh,
it'll
you know
do a
what?
thing.
For our viewers right now, I realized that I changed a setting on the microphone, so I'm going to change it back, and it's going to get a little bit louder. So if you've got your gain turned up,
Or maybe I don't want to bounce my Soul Ring. Because I don't think I'm going to get any benefit from it. Hang on. Because...
so that should sound a little better for you guys watching at home.
yeah, not... sigh.
Sorry about that. So
The ring would be number 6.
Yeah, the ring would be number 6. You
We
know
still
what?
have to decide on a 6.
Since I kind of wiped her out in it, you're at 72.
You kind of wiped me out too.
You're at 72.
I am at
life.
72. Fine. Yes, I'm at 72.
So take your card
All
back.
right.
And then, even though this is hasty, I'm just gonna play it because creatures, yo.
Jerry, can I see your graveyard real quick?
Loyal Apprentice. And now I'm done. Finally. Go.
And tap. Both of Jace does nothing. Draw.
I would like the Tainted Ether and the Sleep out of your graveyard with the
Okay.
Withered Wretch. They're exiled
Okay.
before your turn.
How do you do that?
2
And then
mana.
Bolus, Withered Wretch.
Okay.
He pays 1 and he can remove cards from graveyards.
Okay.
It is the lovely all-purpose utility zombie.
Mm-hmm.
I keep it in my pocket like a little utility zombie.
How much is he going for?
Cheap. 50 cents. And I love that it's a Tim Hildebrandt. He's an old D&D artist, and it does my heart good to see a Dungeons & Dragons artist in Magic. Like old school D&D guy.
Nicobolas.
Your regular one. All right, so when that comes in, each player discards a card, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Uh,
I haven't had white this entire game, so Master Tricketer, you get discarded.
yeah, right?
Like,
I think I'm going to discard a... I'm going to discard a Dictate to Erebos. It's useless, this game.
so the funny part about it, by not reading cards, like I had these
Test turn.
and the Master Trinketer in my hand,
Okay.
and I didn't pay attention to the mana I had because I only had 1 blue, I had the colorless, a soul ring, and a forest. So I was like, I should have known better, but I didn't. Oh, can I take a picture of that zombie?
Sure.
Because I'll never remember.
Why do you need it?
I feel like it'd be nice in my zombie decks.
I have one. I'm lying around somewhere.
If you do.
Yeah, I'll see how many I have.
Screw it. Nicol Bolas is in. Blow up your Nicol Bolas.
Okay.
And then play the Zombie Master. All my zombies have
shit.
Swamp Walk again.
Oh wait, hold on.
Sorry. Alright.
Let me hold on.
So I
Wait.
played Nicol Bolas first.
And he
Yeah, I
ticked
countered
it.
that.
Okay, Nicol Bolas is countered.
Counter squall.
Does
What
it do
does that
damage to
one
me?
do?
2 damage.
Take
2
2.
life.
Alright, then the Zombie Master.
Okay.
And I swing at you for...
Are they hasty? Or
These
two
no,
didn't
they
ever
were, they were
play,
already in. They
yeah.
were already in. Got
I
it.
swing at you for 4.
Okay.
Pass turn.
Okay. I get another adopter. Right? Yeah.
Yep.
He's hiding it under the floorboards. It's next to the damnable heart. Indeed.
Okay. And oh right, that untapping thing.
Yep.
cards you got in your hand? How do you... Oh, they were bounced.
Yep.
So that was the
You
last...
know what's in my hand.
Yep, that was the last card, and the rest are bounced. Wait. 3 Planeswalkers were bounced?
Yes.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because...
No, I had 1 card in my hand.
And...
I drew a card, and 2 Planeswalkers were bounced.
Got it.
Okay.
You should have bounced the thing that's gonna... Well, she can't scry anymore. At least
I
until
can?
she plays another one. I thought you
Planeswalker.
scried for Planes... That's not a Planeswalker.
No, it's not.
But you will a Planeswalker
Yeah.
eventually.
I flipped that.
Right. But you won't scry this turn.
Mm-mm.
Basically, I need to stop you from getting another counterspell because that's going to screw up our game.
You can try. You can probably do it.
We're going to do our best.
Do your best. Just do your best.
Okay.
I believe in you.
I can do... What can I do? Hang on. Problem is doing math. Okay. So this would be a total of 3. 4, 5, 6.
Power of Grayskull.
I mean, that could be 4.
7, 8, 9.
Wait,
Can
no.
this? No.
So
Because you have to
one
pay
of these, yeah, we'll make
so,
2.
3.
Yeah.
4, 5, 6.
While we're
7,
counting.
8, 9. 9. Okay. Interesting.
Interesting. No, I don't like that when the Chaos Muppet says interesting. It's not a good
I
thing.
mean, you only live once, right?
Yep.
Unless you're playing a zombie deck, in which case you live
A bunch
infinitely.
of times.
Until somebody exiles your graveyard.
Okay. Not really relevant. Because I am going to tap 3, 4 to play my commander.
Morphon's in.
Like,
I forget what
because these are
Morphon
free.
does.
I'm going to pick Artificer.
Artificier?
However you want to
Artificer?
pronounce it. Don't care.
Okay.
So the important parts to know, he would be the chosen creature type, or he's a changeling.
Yeah.
But the chosen creature type is 1 less of each color.
They get,
cast.
yeah.
And they get +1/+1.
Yep.
So I'm going to basically cast this guy for free.
Which one?
Urza's Apprentice. Tawnos.
Thanos.
Does it say Urza's Apprentice
Yeah,
Thanos?
Tawnos.
Oh, I remember.
Yes. That
Sorry.
guy.
What I mean by I remember playing in Antiquities in the Dark when Urza and Tawnos and the Brothers War was a thing.
And then, oh
And
crap,
Mishra.
I should have done this backwards. I did it backwards, doesn't matter. And the Diligent Excavator.
When we cast, yeah.
Yeah, I should have, like,
Play that first.
her first and then probably
Then
tagged
more
you.
fun than that, yeah.
Well, no. It wouldn't have worked.
Oh,
if-
right, yeah.
I would love to put cards from my library in my graveyard.
I'm not gonna pick you.
Yeah, but that's also a Grixis deck. I'm sure it would love to put cards in its graveyard too.
Not as much as yours.
Whenever you cast Sorcerer,
We're kinda
target
playing-
player puts top 2 cards of the library
Nah,
into
not
their
the same
graveyard.
deck.
No,
you're not playing the same deck.
Same colors.
Yeah.
She doesn't want as many
I don't want
cards
things
in her
going in
graveyard.
graveyards.
Especially not when you can pick them. Like,
Yeah.
basically kick them out of her graveyard.
If I had graveyard recursion, which I don't remember if I do. Yeah.
I'm sure
and-
there's graveyard.
wait.
Yeah, no attack.
I
phase
have
yet.
Yeah.
You have a Thopter
So, I've
that
got
can
a
attack.
Thopter that can attack.
I will eat it.
And when it does attack, I get to draw a card.
Yeah, you needed to attack,
Attack
to
that
draw a
way.
card.
Yeah. So.
All right, but Bolus is going up. Bolus is flipping next turn.
I'm not killing it with a 1/1 Thopter.
That's true. And make sure just save the blocker because
I now have, like, blockers. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Alright, untap.
So the issue is, this was a carryover
Scry.
from...
No, I don't
Yeah,
scry.
don't scry.
I don't scry.
This
Just
was
draw.
carried over from the Sahili deck.
Oh, and you built that around the Saheeli deck?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, and I didn't even think about it. And then I'm like, oops, I did 5 color.
And it's still, yeah. I'm like, I question that choice in a 5-color deck.
Yeah.
It's one that I missed.
Thanks, I'm just giving you shit.
Like, I feel like the other ones legitimately should be here.
How much does that cost to flip?
7.
Oof.
But
it's
she's
still awful.
got,
I have it all.
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna hit you 4 in the air.
Alrighty, I take it.
And then
Commander.
she's gonna flip it.
Yep, and I'm gonna flip it.
Alright.
I don't think you're gonna die to commander damage.
There's my commander.
No. Alright, and then I will tick it up to draw 2 cards.
How big is it?
9.
Jesus.
I just noticed he's hiding under the floorboards.
Alright.
Alright, I drew 2
That's
cards.
a different zombie card.
Yeah.
I have not played a land yet this turn. I'll play a land that comes in tapped.
And you gain a
And I
life.
gain a life. And I pass the turn.
And you're all tapped out, which is
I
awesome.
am.
I love the look of that bolus too. I'm just
Yeah.
a big fan of bolus.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.